persons. Thank you for pressing record on it. Just so everybody knows, we are going to be recording today's session. Our intention is to share it with our networks to build upon the International Day of Older Persons in our networks and have more discussions further on. So if you're okay, we will be recording it. If you have a problem, please let me know. We'll kind of scoot you off to the side where you're not visible on the camera. So every year, this is a day to take a pause and reflect, not just on the challenges that older adults face, but on the incredible strength, wisdom, and love they bring to our lives and our community. This year's theme, celebrating the power of our social connections while sharing the importance of strengthening our care and support systems, reminds us of something simple yet profound. None of us ages alone. We all need each other, and when our connections are strong, our systems of care are supportive, we all thrive. So now I'm going to introduce Henry, who will be speaking our land acknowledgement.
Hi, I'm Henry Evans-Denbury. I'm a proud member of the Congress of Union Retirees of Canada and an executive member of the Hamilton District Labour Council. The city of Hamilton is situated on the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Mississauga. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, the city of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island, North America. We recognize that we must do more to learn about the rich history of this land so that we can better understand our roles as residents, neighbors, partners, and caretakers. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement is an Indigenous citizenship law made between Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations in 1701 that extends from Montreal to Fort Erie. It consists of 3 basic rules. Take only what you need, leave some for everybody else, and keep it clean. In addition, we stand in solidarity with murdered and missing Indigenous women, girls, transgender, and two-spirited people.
The United Nations National Day of Older Persons is observed annually on October 1st to recognize the contributions of older people, highlight the challenges that they face, and promote their rights and well-being. Designated by the United Nations General Assembly in 1990, this day serves as an opportunity to raise awareness about the population of aging, foster intergenerational collaboration, and advocate for policies that ensure older individuals can age with dignity and inclusion. The United Nations Political Declaration, confirmed by the member states, reaffirmed that their commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights and call for an elimination of age discrimination, neglect, abuse, and violence. The United Nations also stresses the importance of participations of older persons in decision-making processes at all levels of government. This year's theme is celebrating the power of our social connections while strengthening our care and support systems. Today's speakers will highlight many of the services that older adults rely on and their significant issues of confronting seniors, including isolation, care services, housing, renting, and affordability-related concerns and pressures. There will be an opportunity for questions to the moderator and speakers at the end. Thank you for being here.
On this International Day of Older Persons, the local planning committee is so honored to extend our warmest greetings to retirees and seniors. Today is about celebrating you, your incredible contributions to our families, workplaces, and communities, and the wisdom and resilience you continue to share with all of us. We believe retirement should be a time of fulfillment, security, and joy, and never worry. Yet too many seniors face age discrimination, financial insecurity, and barriers to care that they need. That is why we continue to call for fair pensions, stronger retirement benefits, and universal health care, including dental, pharmacare, vision, and hearing care. The COVID-19 pandemic reminded us just how important it is to prioritize health and well-being of older adults, and to ensure that support services and connections will always be there when they are needed. With your leadership and lived experience, we can keep building communities where older adults thrive with dignity, respect, and joy. So today, let's celebrate your contributions. Let's recommit to protecting your rights, and let's join hands across generations to build a society that truly honors older persons. Together, we can and will create a future that is for everyone. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce someone who truly embodies the spirit of connection and care. Our wonderful moderator, the Executive Director of St. Matthew's House, Renee Wetzlar. Many of you know Renee as a trusted voice and leader in our community. She brings the gift of deep listening and asking thoughtful questions and guiding the conversation in a way that brings out the very best in all of us. We are so fortunate to have her leading today's dialogue. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Renee.
Morning, everyone. I can't believe 30 years ago that we opened the Workers' Arts and Heritage Center, and that's pretty much when I met many of you. And these friendships have continued for many years since then, and it's so great to reconnect with all of you today. Before I introduce the panelists, because we're a warm and friendly group, I thought maybe we could just go around and you can introduce yourself and maybe say your affiliation, and that helps the panelists also understand maybe something more specific about each of you. So if I can start off.
My name is Bob Surratt, and that's my beautiful daughter over there, Jillian. This is my beautiful bride, Carol.
Hi, I'm Carol Surratt. That's my beautiful daughter. I don't have anything sweet, but you are beautiful. I will say that. My name is Heather Lambert-Pillen, and I'm here supporting the community.
My name is Peter Worden. I'm also here supporting the community.
Tom Adderton. I'm the interim treasurer of the Hamilton Oakville chapter of the Congress of Union Retirees of Canada, and I'm the secretary of the Hamilton District Labor Council.
And a former CEP member. See, I don't forget.
Janine LeBon, I'm a member of Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville, Kirk. I'm also co-chair with Rolf of the Hamilton Health Coalition. I'm also with SOAR, the Seniors Organized Active Retirees, Steelworkers, sorry. Steelworkers Organized Active Retirees. I'm more used to the acronym.
Hi everybody, I'm Gary Howe. I've been involved with the steelworkers for, what you said, a long time, so like longer than 30 years. I'm retired from Stockholm Industrial Mechanic Trade, and I'm the president of SOAR. I'm not going to try to do the acronym. I'm still involved with the community with lots of things like Acorn, Hamilton Health Coalition, and various other things.
My name is Ralph Herzenberger. I'm a retired steelworker, former president of L5 United Steelworkers, co-chair of the Hamilton Health Coalition, part of Kirk, and anyway, been around for a while.
Malcolm Chen, like Rolf, been around for a while. Formerly from New Zealand, I'm involved in education. I was the former president of the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. Way back when we led the largest protest movement in the country to protect the interests of public education. And that struggle still goes on, and I'm still involved with that union movement. I'm also the president of the Hamilton Burlington Oakville chapter of the Congress of Union Retirees of Canada.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Henry Evans Tenbridge. I'm, as I mentioned, I'm the executive for the Hamilton District Labor Council. I'm recording secretary for the Hamilton Burlington Oakville chapter of the Congress of Union Retirees of Canada. I'm on the executive for the Ontario Federation of Union Retirees. And I'm on the QP Ontario Retirees Network.
He's also been around for a while.
He's our official photographer. Do your job.
Very much so.
I'm Ed Thomas, I'm from QP Local 5167. I'm a member of the executive board of Kirk and
Author?
the author of her story.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joanne Strutt Robinson. I am the local United Way Labor Service Community Rep. I also have the extreme privilege of being on the Hampton District Labor Council Executive, and I'm a what do you need, how can I help kind of gal, so good to know me because you never know how I can be helpful.
Yes, good morning. My name is Angie Armstrong, and I am on the board of the Hamilton Council on Aging. And I chair the age-friendly, or co-chair the age-friendly collaborative committee, as well as being on the committee of capitals and facilities committee with City Office House. And as you all know, they're currently working on a wonderful project for Black and Indigenous seniors. I'm also involved, I'm an educator with the Co-op Housing Federation of Canada. And actually, I was the first educator to develop the workshop on aging in place. So that is something I've been involved with for many years. And sort of semi-retired. Okay, no, I'm also on the board of the Afro-Canadian Career Association, and I have been for many years, so I'm sort of involved in things. You know, you reach a certain age and you've got to bring that knowledge together. Yeah.
My name is Isla. I am Jillian's counterpart. I'm also with the United Way. I'm one of the labor services reps for Oakville, Milton, Burlington, Hilton Hills, that neck of the woods. And I'm an ODLC member as well.
Thank you. Thanks for indulging us with those introductions. So, over here we have our esteemed group of panelists. I'm not going to go through their rich bios that we shared. I'm just going to give you some highlights. But it's fair to say that they're all very smart people, very smart women, and they're all very advanced in their field. So we will start with Maurizia Orozco, who's the Director of Finance and Administration for Habitat for Humanity Hamilton, which is a local organization that is a very, very important part of the housing continuum in Hamilton, ensuring that housing affordability is within reach for many of us. Then we have Dr. Lori Letts, who's with the School of Rehabilitation Science at McMaster University, former chair of the Hamilton Council on Aging, also an OT professional, occupational therapy professional, that has actually worked with St. Matt's Seniors Program on a few different projects so that we can bridge the importance of occupational therapy and how it impacts seniors' lives. We'll hear more about that. And then over here, closer to me, we have Yulina Wang, who is the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer of the Hamilton Community Foundation. The Hamilton Community Foundation is an organization that is deeply involved in our community, not just as a funder or a grantor, but really a leading voice around social determinants of health, impacts of poverty in our community, and also ensuring that voices from the margins really get to the center of opportunities in this community. So I want to give a warm welcome to Laura. So working with the IDOP committee, we've come up with some questions for the panelists. Because we have a bit of a smaller group, I'm not going to say it's too small, to me it's just right, we can have a good conversation. We hope to have some engagement with you and from you with this particular group, so you're not just listening to some talking heads as it is. But I will start with you, Yelena, so that you can tell us what is the Hamilton Community Foundation Scaffold Program, and how does this initiative support housing affordability in our community?
Okay.
Take it away.
Thanks for naming. I will, do you need a microphone?
Some of us may have
Okay.
hearing issues, so if you don't mind.
Very fair, thank you. this okay? I love speaking. Can you hear me better with it?
Just
Okay.
keep the mic.
All right, okay.
Get it,
There we go. Thanks, Renee. So Hamilton Community Foundation is a funder of housing, not only through our grants, but also our investments. We are an endowment, so that means we have about $300 million in assets, and typically foundations, thank you, are invested in the public markets. And Hamilton Community Foundation really believes that our purpose is not to generate income, to maximize returns. It's really to maximize impact. And so one way that we do that is we are taking assets from the public markets, and for the last about 15 years have been in impact investing. And that means investing in our community, investing in loans to affordable housing providers, many in our city. Our scaffold initiative specifically is a 10-year commitment, $50 million, that's our start, to supporting the affordable housing spectrum. And that's everything from supportive housing, thank you, transitional housing, affordable home ownership, affordable rentals, all across that spectrum. The scaffold part, we called it that because like scaffolding in a construction project, it delivers the right support at the right time. So sometimes it's funding a project pre-construction, helping an organization in our community to acquire land. Sometimes it's to create the drawings, do the environmental assessments in a project, and sometimes it's kind of at the end being able to have what we call patient capital. So maybe it's a 25-year investment where we are able to lend our money into a project where government, where traditional banks, where other funders are not, they're not rushing to play a role in that. When our philanthropic resources come in, we have the ability to make choices, and we believe housing and education is another really big one of our initiatives. We can't solve housing on our own. That's why we need partners. We can't solve housing in Hamilton. That's why we do advocacy work at the federal, regional level. And so just to give you an idea, so far we've invested about $30 million in housing to different organizations in the community, and also federally, funds working to create not-for-profit development corporations to help other affordable housing providers across the country be able to do this work. And so our strategies are really designed to rebuild our healthy non-market housing sector, a non-market housing sector for our community. Sometimes that's saving properties from going into the hands of private developers. That's often what it is.
Do you want to give an example, say, of a specific project that you funded recently so people can get a sense of the real hands-on part of this?
Sure. We recently funded a project with a affordable housing provider, and I don't know if they've gone public with it, so I'll just hold off on the name for now. A charity in which they looked to acquire an old retirement home. And this retirement home was unfortunately closed during COVID, and then had a fire, and it's just been sitting empty. And so the owners are for-profit providers. They haven't done anything with it. They've been trying to hold on to the property, and now they would like to get out and get the highest dollar. So what we've been doing is working with this charity to acquire the property so that it doesn't go back into the hands of for-profit developers. And what they're going to do is they're going to, it's about 75 units, and it'll be a combination of supportive housing, transitional housing, housing for seniors, those that qualify for the Community Homes for Opportunity program, and a few units for seniors with mental health challenges. So that's one example. Great.
And so I'm just going to be talking about St. Matt. You're going to hear me sprinkle it here and there. Sorry, I just have to do it. So when St. Matt's decided to tear down its former food bank to build affordable housing, we turned to an organization called New Commons Development. And they're a not-for-profit development corporation. And it sounds kind of weird to say not-for-profit and development in the same terminology. But New Commons Development is backed by the Community Foundations of Canada, of which the Hamilton Community Foundation is a leading member. And so working with the Community Foundations of Canada and banks like Van City in Vancouver, we were able to do work that normally we wouldn't have the money or the energy, the knowledge, the effort. So having a community foundation invest in this type of work is crucial, particularly for smaller organizations that may have some assets, but can't quite get to the finish line. So I just wanted to sort of acknowledge that kind of support, and again, the importance of the role of community foundations here in Hamilton and across Canada. So Yelena, what are the opportunities for other individuals and organizations to join in this scaffold work?
Thanks, Renee. There are so many opportunities. I think when we think about housing, and it almost feels so hard to think about how to solve housing. We only have limited dollars. We have government challenges, regulatory challenges, and so what we try to do is we try to be catalytic where we can be. So often no other funder wants to come in until someone else goes first, like no one wants to be the first one in. So what we try and do is we'll be the first one in. We will commit to projects, and then everyone else suddenly is like, oh, well, someone else took the big risk. Government, CMHC often will fund projects way after the money is needed. And so another thing we do is try to provide funding ahead of time, and then knowing that the CMHC will flow their funding after. In terms of, so when I talk about more than money, I talk about, what are the other tools as an organization that we have? And so some of you will know our former CEO, Terry Cook. He's like obviously everyone knows Terry Cook. For him, social capital, him being able to call someone up to see if we can get meetings. Sometimes for us, we had 2 years ago, we had the congregation at Trinity Lutheran Church. They were kind of downsizing all their properties, and they offered one up to us at below market. And so we were able to find a housing provider in our community who was willing to develop that property. And so we were able to provide them a mortgage to be able to secure the property. And by doing that, this property is right on King Street East. It's perfect LRT walkability. It's a really desirable space. What we needed, or the leg up that we had, was a congregation who was willing to offer up this property to the not-for-profit world and not just take the biggest dollar. Because if we open it up to the market, time and time again, we've tried this over and over and over with our partners, we are always outbid by someone who is willing to pay 10 times the appraisal value, and so we can't compete. So, I'll just say, if you know properties that are available, we connect people, we connect ideas, we connect resources more than just our money to try and address this housing crisis. We really try to think outside the box and be innovative to solve what is such a complex and complicated challenge for our community.
Thank you. Great. Thank you so much. So we're going to move on to our second panelist, and I'm going to move to the end here with Maritza, and who's from Habitat for Humanity. So we've got some more housing talk here, folks. One of my favorite topics. So in your experience, how can volunteering or community engagement in retirement complement housing stability to support meaningful connections?
Thank you, Renee. Okay, so thank you for having me today, this morning. I'm going to give you an overview for the ones that are not familiar with Habitat for Humanity is. So we are a non-for-profit organization. We believe that everybody deserves a safe place to live. So we work hard to provide affordable housing for families in need. That's our main goal. To do that, we have different resources. So one of those resources is the Restore. You might see that we receive donated goods, furniture, kitchens, anything that is used but in good condition, and then we put it for sale at very low price, so people can buy domestic goods at a very affordable pricing. So we receive those funds from the restore, and then we put them into the funding for building affordable housing. So another area that we work with is definitely volunteers. So volunteers are one of our main resources because they help us build homes. A lot of older people are retired from the trades, or they have different skills, but they want to learn new ones. So, for example, they help us in the build sites, and they help us with the construction of the house. But they're not only helping us in that sense, they create connections, right? We provide the opportunity that they meet the families that they're gonna live in those houses that we already assign. So the volunteers is like they feel like they're building something for that family with kids, or with a grandpa or with a grandma that is in that family unit. So that creates that special bonding and connection. And also we have different volunteer opportunities as well in the different committees. So if you have experience, or you know anybody that have experience in event planning or finance or board of directors, you can join as well different committees in our organization and be active. So I believe that affordable housing and creating connections are deeply related. And that's very important for older adults, right? Because when we engage the community and the older adults, we provide an opportunity to make new friends, to be that sense of connection. And also we reduce the isolation because they become like a nice crew. And then we got opportunities with them to celebrate the volunteer work that they do. So we have a barbecue for our volunteers. We have celebrations at Christmas. We always engage them in our celebrations. For example, last January we finished in Hamilton 7 affordable units. So 7 families move in with this program. So all our volunteers were involved in those celebrations when we give the keys to those families. And that was beautiful, because some of them, they said, we help paint this unit for you. And the other ones, we help with the floor or anything. So those are the opportunities that Habitat for Humanity provides. And it's a very overwhelming job. Sometimes it's a lot to do, but we rely on that, the support of the community, a lot.
Thank you. Pop quiz question. Who founded Habitat for Humanity?
Jimmy Carter.
You win the prize of the donut over at the table there.
The Americans are always going.
But Jimmy certainly is an iconic part of the history of Habitat, and I think people very much identify with the kind of work and the kind of presidency, quite frankly, that he was able to lead us with. So follow-up question for you. Can you tell us about a current project? You've named some of the past projects, and I'm familiar, Beach Avenue, Sherman Avenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a project that you're working on right now and into the future that you'd like to talk about?
Yes, so right now, our current project is a 10-unit affordable housing in Stony Creek. So that's gonna be starting this fall, and that is a project that is gonna help 10 families, right? The most important part of this project is that we are also offering a different mortgage model. So typically Habitat for Humanity provide the classic mortgage model, which is the one that we give the families a mortgage for 20 or 25 years without down payment. And all the mortgage payments that they make are without interest. So that's the beauty of the Habitat for Humanity program. In this new project with the 10 homes at Stony Creek, we are using another mortgage model, and this is because of the housing crisis and also the high value of the market right now. So it's very difficult for families to afford new home ownership. So this new mortgage model that we're gonna implement, it's 20-year equity sharing model. So that means that the families that are qualified, I'm gonna call family unit, right? Because now we have different families. It could be kids with parents and grandparents, that's a family unit. Or it could be grandparents with grandkids, that's another family unit. So basically, a family unit will get that opportunity for 20 years without down payment to make payments every month. And a portion of that payment, 20%, will go to an equity account to build a down payment. So after 15 or 20 years, we will give the end of that equity balance to the family unit. So they can start with that money as a down payment and go and find a new mortgage. So that's another option that we're using, just because it's getting harder and harder for families to apply to mortgages without down payment. So we found that this opportunity is growing, and we can help 10 families. And the good thing is that those 10 units that we're building, once those families move out, then another 10 families can come in. So we can keep helping in the long run. That's how Habitat is thinking, so we can help more people.
Great, thank you. When I was with the Social Planning Research Council, I was able to work with a family from Chad. They were relative newcomers to Hamilton, and all kinds of housing issues, inadequate, very dirty. There were family members who could not come to Canada to live with them just simply because they didn't have enough space. And so we were able to help this family work on some banking and credit history challenges that they had faced, quite frankly, and being a real voice of support as they went into this process. And that really was part of what was holding them back, is kind of the fear and the stigma of not having perfect credit and stuff like that. Once we were able to get through that, we literally walked step by step alongside this family. And I mean, I'll never forget sitting in the living room of this home, which is in the Keith neighborhood behind Robert Land's school, former school. And just the warmth and the glowing nature of this family, and being able to call a place home, and not just home, but something that they could own. And you could really tell that the pride of place was important. And it was also inspiration for other members of the community, from the Pan-African community, from the Chad community, and it allowed others to kind of have hope as well. So Habitat is quite crucial in helping us solve those housing challenges. So thank you. All right, I'm gonna move on to Lori. But first I'm gonna ask, and Rolf, you can't answer because you've already won a donut. When I say OT, or occupational therapy, name for me one thing that comes to mind. Anyone? You're a ringer too, so I'm not gonna let you answer it.
You can stop it over.
Yeah, you still have a donut, did you? Anyone? What comes to mind when you think occupational therapy?
Like physiotherapy.
Physiotherapy?
Welcome to my world.
Sorry, Henry?
Working in the home?
Working in the home? Anyone else? So I'll mention, just working with Lori through St. Matt's, we were able to develop a program that helped us design the inspiration for residents coming into the 412. And so for this group of students, it was new for them to think about homelessness, right? We like to talk about aging in place, and I remind people if you don't have a place to age, it's gonna be really hard to age, right? If you don't have a place to put your food, it's really hard to talk about food security or have that cooking demonstration or support from someone like an OT. So this really great group of students helped us develop an intake process that allowed us to kind of assess the needs of the person while they were homeless and help us design what we needed to do to help those folks walk along the path to become housed. Because we think once you have housing, great, right? It solves all your problems. But particularly for those who have been unhoused or chronically homeless, it's a challenge. And we've also had incidents where, quite frankly, people have wanted to kill themselves after being housed. They've lost their sense of community, they've lost their identity, they feel like they've lost their autonomy, right? So it's really important that we think about OT in a very holistic way. I'm not going to steal your thunder too much, but just for people to kind of think outside the box sometimes. I always used to think OT, oh, they're going to help you figure out how to use your scissors or, you know, do a little bit of therapy for your hips and such. But really, occupational therapy, and particularly what we call occupational deprivation, which essentially means not having anything to do, was really highlighted during COVID, right? There are a lot of seniors that were facing isolation and they weren't able to go out, and they kind of lost meaning in their lives. And so through the supports of an OT program, we were able to start deliver activities, meaning and hope into these older adults' lives. And it was quite phenomenal because for many it just gave them hope, which gave them life. So Lori, how can rehabilitation science contribute to the strengthening social connections for older adults who are looking to prevent and address health challenges?
Thank you, Renee. You stole my thunder, but just a tiny bit, and I'm going to build on it.
Okay, good.
So I do want you to think about, over the past week, I want you to start by thinking about what are 3 things, activities in which you engaged that gave your life meaning or purpose or joy. You don't have to tell me what they are, but really that's the essence of occupational therapy. What are the activities you do that support you in making contributions and connecting with others and giving your life meaning? And so if I think about, my identity as an occupational therapist, I did work for a while in a hospital. I did do home care for a while. I've been a faculty member for 31 years, but where I've gained the greatest satisfaction is really thinking more at the population level and the community level and really supporting groups of people to think about how they can support themselves in terms of their daily activities or occupations. And in occupational therapy, we have a framework. I'm not going to lecture you on a theory, I promise. And it's really simple. It's to think about the activities that we do, and what we do every day matters. And so when you're engaged in activities every day, whether it's getting up out of bed in the morning and giving yourself breakfast, getting your clothes on, anybody who's had rehabilitation in a hospital has probably seen an OT to help with some of those personal everyday activities. But really, we all know that's just the starting point of our day. We get our clothes on and we eat breakfast because we're trying to get ready to engage in something. And so that's the essence of what I think is important for us to think about. What we do every day matters. And the social connection piece, that's the theme of today's talk, is really, I want you to think about the ways that you engage and connect with others. Sometimes it's reciprocal, it's having a coffee with a friend, it's very reciprocal. Sometimes it's receiving support, and we often don't think about being the recipient of support as a way of engaging. But if I think about my own experience with others, when someone's supporting me, that's an opportunity for us to connect. When I'm supporting somebody else, so in the reverse, that's also an opportunity to connect. So to me, rehabilitation at its heart is about giving people opportunities, support, to engage with their community, their neighbors, their family, their broader community, to support health for all. Is that enough of an answer?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna just ask, what do you do that you think kind of relates to this framework? And I'm just gonna ask anyone to stick their hand up, and I do collaging, I'm an artist, so, you know, I think, and you write, right? You like to write and research. What are some other examples that you might do in your home or in your daily life that speaks to this whole idea of engagement?
Join your picket line.
Perfect. Anyone else?
I like to think that this is part of it. So I normally wouldn't have the opportunities to build a panel discussion and interact with what I would refer to as multi-generations and share information. So, you know, connecting in a setting like this and learning more information and extending that sharing of wisdom and knowledge to people that maybe don't necessarily have those same connections.
Yeah.
And sharing your skills. You know, some of the things that we've heard here already, you know, you have a skill, and especially when you're aging, if you don't take that skill and sort of share it with others, whether they're young people or maybe people within your community, it's just become stagnated. So I think that's part of the connection process.
Yeah. Any others? My wife likes to take our cats out for walks. She'll put them on a leash, or we have these knapsacks, and she'll put them in on her back and go out and do the snow shoveling or something like that. And to her, that really gives her a lot in her life. She doesn't have kids of her own. She didn't have kids. So these are literally her children, and her life with her kitties gives a lot of meaning. So yeah. Anyone else?
Staying actively involved within the community.
Yes.
Which sometimes takes a lot of intention, right? And if we think about sort of going back to rehabilitation, the original question that we talked about was about how do you help people restore their abilities? And if you leave with one message from today, I would also hope from a rehabilitation point of view, you can see that we would also like to be involved before people need recovery support, but rather prevention. So what can we do to build connections and community so that people actually have their health optimized and don't necessarily need recovery support?
So on that, what practical strategies can communities use to reduce isolation among older adults while addressing accessibility and mobility barriers?
Yeah, good question.
It's a very good question, and I don't have all of the answers.
Oh, come on.
But I have three sort of thoughts for consideration that I will present to you. And the first one is, are there ways that programs and services and supports can be better delivered to the places where seniors are? So I'm involved in a project right now where we're looking at NORCs. And NORC stands for Naturally Occurring Retirement Community. There's clearly someone in the room who knows what I'm talking about. So we know that there are long-term care facilities, there are seniors apartment buildings that are designated for older adults. The St. Matt's space would be one of those. It's not a NORC. It might be a PRC, planned community, but it's not a naturally occurring. But the vast majority of people who are older don't live in those kind of communities, but they frequently live in naturally occurring retirement communities. So those are neighborhoods or buildings where there's a high proportion of seniors. And so one of the ideas in terms of this project is, can we identify, and how can we identify vertical NORC, so that might be an apartment building. You can probably all think of various apartment buildings in the city of Hamilton, an area where there's a high proportion of seniors, even if it's a market rent building. There are also geographic horizontal norks where there, over time, the community has become a predominantly older community. There are probably also co-op and condo buildings in the community that are norks. So then how can we think about actually bringing services and supports to people within those communities rather than having siloed services delivered to them? So that's one of the initiatives that I think is very practical. And the project that I'm involved in, we're delivering what's called a project or a program called Oasis. And Oasis is a project or a program that was started in Kingston. We now have 24 sites, I think, across Canada. In Hamilton, we have one. I'm the lead of that Hamilton project. And we don't go into people's homes for that project and deliver, PSW or nursing supports. What we do is collaborate with the tenants in the building where we are. So the programs we deliver are designed in collaboration with them, which I think is an important premise. And the focus is on physical activity and exercise. It's on nutrition and food supports. And it's focused on social engagement and connection. Because we know that all three of those pillars are key to helping people to age in the right place. You talked earlier about aging in place, and I'm an advocate of this idea of aging in the right place, because I think sometimes people aren't in the right place, and maybe they're not in any place, which is the most dire sort of situation. But even folks who are housed might not be in an ideal situation for them. So that my first practical strategy is to think about how can we create supports and services where people tend to be, and NORCs are one direction. My next thought is, how can we support people to make digital connections? None of us want our whole world to be a social connection through digital means. But lots of people, I was about to say we all, and it's probably not all, but a lot of people found connection during COVID in particular, during the lockdowns, by virtual means. And although in-person is preferred, there's lots of times, or people who might want to connect with other people at a greater distance. And so to me, there's still some value in thinking about digital connection as one strategy to reduce social isolation and loneliness. But there are folks who don't have the digital literacy that they might want or need, or the access to digital support. So how can we support digital connections? And then my third practical is related to sort of inclusive communities, because I think we still collectively don't have the kinds of age-inclusive, dementia-inclusive communities that support people to age well. And it's from things like the services that you receive in various organizations, but it's also the walkability of our neighborhoods and communities. How can people be, physiotherapists, occupational therapists will spend time with people in their homes, making sure that they can get on and off the toilet, in and around their homes, sometimes their property. Very seldom does a one-on-one home care therapist actually deal with the walkability of the neighborhood. But if we want to support people to connect in their communities, then to me, we have to move outside of that realm and into the broader community and really think about what we collectively can do to make our spaces more inclusive.
Great, thank you. Okay, how are we doing? You feeling like you're getting occupationally and physically and mentally engaged? Yes? Good. There's going to be a question that you all have to answer at the end of this. It's a little quiz. So I have a question for all the panelists, and I'm going to invite each one of you to take a moment to answer. If you get lost, just look at me with the frantic eyes and ask me to say the question again. And so I'm going to start first with our friend from the foundation, Yolanda. This year's theme invites us to celebrate the power of social connections, while also recognizing the importance of strengthening the care and support systems that older adults rely on. From your perspective, what is one change in community, policy, or practice that you believe could most meaningfully improve the care and connection for older adults?
This wasn't one of our planned questions, was it? Was it?
Yeah.
What's one change?
One perspective, one change in community, policy, or practice that you think or you believe could most meaningfully improve the care and connection for older adults?
For the community foundation to do. Okay, I think one change that we're working on slowly is this change from philanthropy, telling community what it needs, when it needs, how much it needs. What we're doing is we're changing that to be more of a participatory grant-making approach where community tells us, you tell us, what's needed, when, how, and that's this change kind of flipping philanthropy on its head. Funders are very uncomfortable with this. They're giving up power, they're giving up control, and I think that is something that we're doing and we're trying to get our colleagues to do. Hamilton Community Foundation has lots of things that others look at and think are very risky or weird or unusual. And what we try to do is we try to make these decisions with leading with our values and then try to use our influence. When I was talking about all our different tools, it's more than just our money, it's our social connections, all people, ideas, different resources to be able to, in this case, have community tell us, what do you need? Have seniors tell us, what do you need? As opposed to us guessing or assuming we know and telling you.
Great, and the open call grant process, where they've taken a whole bunch of grants that were very specific, we're gonna give you money to do this, were all brought together, and it allowed organizations and groups and associations to tell the foundation what it is we want to do or what it is we need based on what we have heard or what we have learned or what others have told us, right? Let's go over to our friends at Habitat. Do you have the question down? You good?
Yes, I'm
All
good.
right.
Okay, so at Habitat for Humanity, we have implemented this change, which is in our volunteer grouping. Before, we selected the volunteers and we put them together by age or by experience or skill. So we put them all together. And then we found that they have more positive impact when the volunteers are mixed, and even with younger generations. So for example, we have people in the community that are in their 30s, 40s, they want to come volunteer, and then we put them in the same group with people who are retired. And then they can learn from each other, and they help each other. So if they're in the building or a construction site, one can teach the other, and they can interact from different worlds. And we found that those connections are building a stronger community, because younger generations needs guidance, experience, and the older people have that. So we found that mixing them is very valuable. And even we have an experience not long ago. One lady, she came, she's in about late 20s, and she came to volunteer with us, one of the buildings. So she came, she said, I don't have experience painting or putting anything, but I can learn. Anyway, she was in that mixed group with fellows that they were retired, but they had a lot of experience. And she had an amazing time that day. And she learned, but the most important part was the email that she sent us 3 or 4 days after, because she lost her dad 2 years before. And one of the volunteers, the older people that they were there, it was so helpful in teaching her and having the patience, that she said that she was thankful because she had like one afternoon with a person that reminds her of her dad. So she had that connection. And it was for her, but also for the fellow. So it did build a strong friendship. And now they love to volunteer together, even though she's still learning. But those are the mix and the changes that we have to implement, because it's not just keeping the older people isolated in their own groups, it's just mix them, that they are part of something.
Perfect, wonderful. Lori?
Okay, I'm gonna harken back to something I said earlier around supporting aging in the right place. Because I think at its heart, that's a really core component of what everyone wants. We all want to age well in a place, a home, a community where we feel like we've got a contribution to make. And for me, one of the biggest challenges associated with supporting aging in the right place is that we have, from a policy and a system and a service delivery point of view, a lot of silos: housing, social services, health services. And if we could start to break down those silos and have as the goal supporting people to age in the right place, that would start to create a world where I think would be a more inclusive community. So I'll leave it at that.
Great, awesome, thank you. For St. Matt's, hey, I'm talking about St. Matt's again, can you believe it? When we first started thinking about the 412 housing project, it was next door to a childcare center. And so the feedback we heard at the time was, how are you going to build affordable housing for those people, those homeless people, next to a childcare center? Right? That's the kind of pushback we got. They don't belong together. Those homeless people, they better not be near kids because something bad's gonna happen. You know what we did? When we were redesigning our playground, we put a gate that will now link the two backyards between the 412 housing project and the child care center, so that the folks who live at 412 can come and share stories and do activities and be in and around kids. Don't you all love to be around kids? Well, most people do. Anyway, some people not so much. And the kids will be able to come over and help with the garden, plant some seeds, do a little beading activity, or something that will give everyone some meaning. So, you know, if anything, you have to challenge yourself and others to think beyond stereotypes and realize that people can do things, right? And they can be together, and the union movement knows this better than anyone else. Solidarity and community is the key to success. It's the key to progress. It's the key to engagement. It's the key to meaning. And certainly that's something I learned from all of you 30 years ago when I started working at the Workers' Arts and Heritage Center. The power of union, right? And I think that's a little bit about what we're speaking to here today, is what that power can mean and what it can mean in our lives. So I'm going to do a little bit of participatory stuff here for a moment. I have a question that I'm going to ask all of you to consider. And when I hand you the mic, I'm going to ask if you're able to stand up and give us an answer. It doesn't have to be right, it doesn't have to be wrong, just your thoughts, your feelings, what you think. And I'm going to start with your dad over here, because we all know it's your dad and he thinks you're beautiful, and so do we. So what partnerships or collaborations have you seen or would like to see that help bridge these systems, what we're talking about?
Can I just see that question again?
What partnerships or collaborations have you seen or would like to see, right, maybe based on what you learned, that can help bridge these systems to help older adults build social connection and have meaning in their lives? Could be your union work, could be Do you watch hockey with your buddies?
Well, in the union stuff, I mean, getting people more involved in what's going on in their union, let alone outside, the things that they can do if they get organized and work together on how they can help out in communities and put more effort into things that are going on around in their communities and in their neighborhoods or in the city itself. There's things that can be done if we get people organized and working together on it. I mean, and that goes for not just one union or one, say, steelworkers, OPSU, QP, get them all together, working on certain goals.
Right on, perfect. You get an A. You get an A. Want to pass it over?
I'll pass it.
What about you, Jillian's mom?
Well, I'm not sure, but maybe senior centers. They bring seniors together.
Yeah.
I haven't been, mind you, but I've seen them.
Right.
Okay.
That's a very powerful one. Heather, besides political organizing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's your ringer.
I would say also recognizing a lot of seniors and a lot of them being in the communities that I support, housing for the generations after them. We haven't really done a great job at generational wealth. We've done a really great job at generational trauma. And so recognizing that we need to help the next generations that are coming.
Right. The youngster over here in the room, what do you think?
Well, I was actually going to say that I pulled a little bit of what Heather said, and you know, being a younger person, I hope that what I say doesn't come off as self-centered, but rather as intersectional. So in my day-to-day life, I'm a trade lawyer, so one of the things that I've been really thinking about, especially over the past year, is how we make sure that the opportunities that were available to people, you know, 30, 40 years ago, you could build a community in place. Right now, we have a situation where often it's very difficult, even, you know, for example, in my family, to make sure that the opportunities are available in places like Hamilton so that you know, intergenerational families are able to develop in place rather than, you know, have to split apart and move from city to city to seek opportunities. Because, you know, in my family, my parents live in Hamilton. I moved away for school. My sister moved away from school. She still lives in Toronto. I moved back, and one of the reasons why I want to stay in Hamilton is because I want to be there for my parents as they age. My dad just turned 65 last month, so that's something that we think about. And he's a caregiver for his own mom too, and she lives in Oakville or Mississauga, so that also makes it difficult. So I can see that kind of difficulty already in maintaining those kind of relationships and keeping that community even within just the family kind of unit level. So yeah, so making sure that we have those opportunities available so that people don't feel kind of push away from their communities, and make sure that we have those communities resilient for the long haul.
Nice. Tom. Here's the soft-spoken Tom. Come on.
Okay, and I'm gonna follow instructions from Sam. Yeah, I'm not a rebel. I think the one thing in terms of kind of my current activity or related to what I've done for the past 40 years, as I come to the end of that time, what I really appreciate, what I look for, and I think needs improvement, is the ability to stay somewhat engaged. So through things like Kirk, I'm able to carry on, or SOAR, or some other organizations, and unions do have increasingly have retiree organizations. But they do vary in what they do, their impact, the impact they can have on the union and on the community. Some of them are glorified social gatherings, which is good because that may be important for the continuing the identity of the people involved. But they probably can do more, and I would hope they would do more certainly become more politically engaged, both in the community and within the union, recognizing that there are problems with that in terms of what unions do. You know, so there's that. The other thing, and I guess this is that, you know, so how can seniors impact the community? I'm peripherally involved with a group of immigrants who are certainly not, who are certainly very capable, very intelligent. They come here for various reasons, not strictly related to economic reasons or refugee reasons or whatever. They're very talented, but they do need assistance. And so connecting, and certainly in the groups that I'm involved with, some of the older people who are making that connection, who are helping them, they're helping them driving, helping them secure clothing, food, where that's important, jobs, finding jobs and training, finding ways of assessing their skills and making those connections to the community. So that's, I think, another, let me make sure I'm answering the question here.
You're doing great.
So I think that's another way of building the social connection. So it's not only for the people providing, as I said, really the people offering the assistance, but also it's a help to people who need that assistance.
Right, thank you. Can you give it a shot?
Hi, I'm retired from and I still associate with guys I work with. So I got to socialize with people. I'm involved in the work group in Hamilton, so I keep me busy too. So I think it's very important as seniors, we like to socialize more, because when you retire, you sort of miss that social being. So, I mean, I know Eddie, he's retired from that. But I think socially, we should try to see socialize with the young people, because they can see what our I'm trying to think of the word now. But whatever background is, what we did for work, when we did for work. And I was in the city of Hamilton Forestry Department, and we were called out in all kinds of different types of sport. And we went to the ice storm down east, when they had the big ice storm, we were down there for 2 weeks, or a month. Like, we were a long time, and we used to get up at 5 in the morning and work till 7 at night. So we were working all kinds of different storms. We were out there every night doing it. You know, my wife gets a call, I got the guy go in. She didn't like that. My wife, she was a teacher, so she didn't like me to pull her beside her, so that's just what happened. But I enjoyed what I did. I was a safety guy for 25 years, so, and when I left, they said, I'm glad I shot.
And it shows you too the power of union, and this is something when we talk to younger people about why unionize. It not just serves you while you're working, but when you're done working, right? You have that ethic, that thought, that feeling that you are connected, and connectivity really helps lift each other up, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I have some different thoughts. I look at the organizations and groups I'm involved with, and there's one where we are all aging, and how do we get the youth involved? And it's the connection to develop, and that's been difficult. Now, mind you, the others, it's healthcare for me is the link with all of them. And I don't know if you're aware of the community care medicine program. And that is one that is connected. It's good for the Norks, and it's good for a lot of departments here that's set up where you have a connection. They come in. You don't have to end up in the hospital. So there's different ways, but I'm going to end up with what I heard on Saturday here. We had John Clark here, and he brought back the days of action. And how do you connect How do you get it going? You start small, you connect with everybody you can, share the information, because we're gonna have to do this again with the current Prime Minister.
And that community paramedicine program does have a staff person that's focused on seniors. And that staff person comes from St. Matt's, and it connects us through Hamilton Police Service. And people have their opinion around working with cops, right? We all have various opinions. But what we have found is with engaging with and through the police, this staff person is able to help those at-risk seniors who are being challenged or abused or whatever, scammed, right? And help them be safe and become safe and learn, so.
The community program comes out with these presentations. We had them here at Kirk and we had them at SOAR. And it's something to think about because we want to age at home.
We sure do. Yes, Gary.
Okay, just to build on that aging at home. So one of the things that I was hoping to get from today was, an issue for seniors sharing accommodations that might not necessarily, like a legal sharing of accommodations, so for seniors that might not be related by family or friends, but they, instead of living on their own, there's like a home where they share with other adults, where they kind of have their own room, but they can share a kitchen accommodation. And the reason, obviously, that we probably all cover that is it takes away this loneliness for seniors, and it also helps with affordability. So I know we all know, like, if you think about, like, when you live on your own, which a lot of us do, right? You have internet charges, you have like, like heat, hydro, all those things. And half the time, you don't want to stay in by yourself, right? So what I kind of mentioned before when we were planning for today, it would be nice to have a pilot project where we could kind of show, and I know there are places that do already where you can have like a seniors sharing on accommodation, because I'm sure there'd be like a lot of seniors that want to do it, they just don't know, like anybody that, is there anyone else that's interested, and then how to go about doing it. And then by the time they get all that together, like they could be going through health challenges, which everything slips. So, like I said, that's the one thing I was hoping for today, was that, we could give it some thought, senior sharing accommodations, and maybe we can kick off like a pilot project.
Right on. Is it Baba Yagas? Is that what they were called? Have you heard that term before? So this is something that started in other parts of the world, and it's women coming together. They buy a house or they rent a house together, and they essentially do that. So I don't know where the name came from.
What was the name again?
Baba Yagas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime I come to these things and I try to deal with what we should do about it, in my 55 years of being in Canada, the big drawback that I see facing Canadians is that lack of political discussion. It actually educates you here in Canada to not discuss politics because it's controversial. So I spent my last 55 years trying to develop that we have a discussion about politics. So that's not just going to demos and protesting and, we're not too bad at it, but it's actually having a discussion. So I just want to give you an idea of what I ran into. This group of pensioners at Limeridge Mall. They've been getting together 6 days a week for almost 30 years, where they show up at 7 o'clock, they do an hour of slow walking, because one's 95 and the others are all in their late 80s. When I show up, I'm the young one at 75. So that's a good feeling, you know. But they've been getting together for almost 30 years. They meet 6 days a week. So I'm now part of that group. They have, there's 4 or 5 Italians, there's one from Bangladesh, there's one from Fiji, there's one from the Philippines, you know, and I'm also an immigrant. And we have, you know, we'll discuss food and other stuff, but then we also try to have some political discussion about what's happening and what it means. At Local 1005, when I was president, we started the Thursday meetings, where basically they're just held to discuss politics and what's going on and what can we do about it. It's still going on, so that's what, 22 years. Now there's only 15 or so, 15 to 20 people maybe show up. But it's just to discuss what's going on and what to do about it. So this housing issue also comes up quite a bit. Then I have 3 days a week. There's 3 of us get together in the morning for coffee. There's yesterday, anyway, no, what's today? Wednesday. Okay, so today we had the ones at Lime Ridge. I also had a group of 4 of us. We get together 4 times a week, or 3 times a week to this. It's a different group. And then I'm going to have to leave here soon because there's a group of pensioners. They meet once a month, again, just to discuss politics. So that's where, anyways, and then there's obviously the different organizations, but these other ones are just basically just to discuss politics about what to do. So just what I want to raise, I'm going to have to leave in a little while. What I want to raise here, though, I'd like to find out what people here think is the cause of this housing crisis. Because obviously it is something different. Okay, I've been, you know, like I said, 55 years. I've never seen it so bad. And, you know, I'd like to just sort of raise, what is it that caused this problem? I'm not in that field, you know, I don't know the nitty gritty, I have my views about it, but that's one of the things we try to grapple with at our Thursday meeting at 10:05. What's the cause of it, and then what can we do about it?
Right.
Because it's quite, for me, it's quite a disaster. Like when I see them, the city tearing down tents, and then the people are asking, well, where should we go? And they say, well, that's not our place, let's just get lost. We don't, like, I don't understand how anyone can act like that personally, but other people don't seem to find a problem. But anyways, so that's what I see as far as what we have to do in this, is grapple with that, the political aspect of it, with the intention of, okay, what can we as ordinary people do about it?
Right.
That's all, thanks.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to start about what the Congress of Union Retirees of Canada is all about. Exactly. First of all, the International Day of Older Persons was the initiation of the United Nations, obviously. But Kirk picked it up a number of years ago, and I think we've been holding it now for at least 10 to maybe 12 years to celebrate the International Day of Older Persons. Not just in Hamilton, but across Canada, in our different units. We're a pan-Canadian organization representing about 500,000 of whatever it is that its memberships come in. Mainly all retired trade union activists. So that brings together an eclectic group of individuals from various political backgrounds, from various union histories, and it's an eclectic organization where we, as Rolf says, we talk politics, but we also talk about benefit programs, how to help our members get through, the programs that will be able to meet the needs, especially in retirement-related issues. And we hold conferences, we hold meetings, and that brings this groups together from time to time. But what's very important about all of this, is what's been mentioned before, is the social activities and the relationships that build. And that's very important. And that's why I think we've always been very successful in Hamilton in doing these type of activities. And it goes back to many of the comments that have been made by the panelists, including yourself, Renee, that we do support those principles. Since I've been involved in Kirk, which goes back a number of years now, housing has been a major issue for our organisation. And as Gary has pointed out, one of the issues that we were even discussing 10 years ago was shared housing accommodation among like-minded individuals that could get on with each other, which is very important. And that's been picked up. I've seen articles in the Spectator from time to time where a group of seniors have got together and shared the accommodation of the house with 3 or 4 different bedrooms or maybe 2 different bathrooms, obviously, and then they've got on very well. How they solve any type of tension issues, I'm not sure how it works, but I'm pretty sure they can do it. But one of the things I found out about isolation, we've had discussions about isolation for seniors. COVID made it a real crisis, there's no question about that. But it's lingered on. People got lazy about going out. Oh, let's use social media, especially Zoom meetings and so on. Very useful though for those who can't travel around. So you use it accordingly. But it's very important that the other thing that really bugs me is that we have these services at the senior centres that many seniors can't get to it on a regular basis. Why? Because A, they don't have family close by that can drive them there or to pick them up. And secondly, the dance program, there's something that this city has to really step up to the plate on because it doesn't work well. You see the horror stories that were reported in the Spectator, that I think that has to be boosted up somehow with some type of, I don't know what type of coercion on the city to get that with, it's just not working adequately to meet all the needs, especially those who have walking or mobility problems. That has to be resolved. But I want to go back to the important thing is about the interconnections, and Barry mentioned this from the injured workers' perspective. Yes, bringing together, working together, talking politics, as Rolf has said. We have Rolf and I have our own special little way to communicate because we're neighbours. We just talk out in the front lawn sometimes. But anyway, it goes on all the time. So coming out of this meeting, and that's why Kirk is around, because we believe in these type of interconnections. We believe in working together with like-minded organisations. And that's why I really appreciate the panel being here, and you, Renee, and doing the work that you do. So thank you for the privilege of being here.
Thank you, thank you. Henry.
Henry Edmondson. One of the things I've been very involved with is local unions, and not just local unions, national unions as well, recognizing the importance of retirees and seniors in the movement. Over the years, we've seen where people have retired from the workplace, and all connections have been lost. Unions, look at them as, well, you're no longer in the workplace, so you're no longer important to us. But we as seniors have a very important role to play within labor. We serve as mentors for new members, and also we're a means of maintaining connections with each other and within the movement. I like the motto of Kirk, which is no longer in the workplace, but not out of the fight. And we are very involved in the fight. And another issue I'm involved with in the past and today again is the issue with Canada Post. Postal workers have been an important link within the seniors community. How many times have we heard where postal workers have saved lives of seniors, or they are an important link within the community for seniors. Some seniors that are housebound have no other person to relate to or to speak to than their delivery person, their postal delivery person. So I think it's important for us to recognize that and to get involved with this current issue with Canada Post. As you know, they want to do away completely with home delivery. They want to put in the community mailboxes again. And I'm sure most of you know that I was involved in 2015 with standing up against Canada Post. I did a
Sitting
certified.
down on a chair with your dog.
Well, yeah. Malcolm makes a good point. I sat down on a chair to protest for 35 days, and we got international recognition from that, and I got Canada Post pretty pissed off at me, I think. But I think it's important for us, not only within the senior community, but within the youth community as well, to recognize. And that's another thing that's fallen by the wayside. And because of the current economic situation where seniors are no longer involved in family life, in the family life with their grandchildren, and it's something that I know Malcolm does, and I do personally. I am very involved in the lives of my grandchildren. We serve as examples and an educational tool, and keep them informed of why it's important to be involved in the community.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I think this is a great question. It really gets the wheels moving. So I've really been thinking of everybody's answers. And one of the things that we used to have in Hamilton that no longer really exists, that could be very fundamentally changing for people, is an organization that was called Volunteer Hamilton. And so it really brought people out of that silo, out of that inability to connect, and offered people an opportunity to find out what's available in their communities and integrate into that opportunity to build friendships. And so I hear all of these things and I'm like, you know what we're missing is that entity that brings it all together for us, that offers us a space to go into and have an in-person conversation. Also thinking about the mentorship, it's like an unofficial mentorship program, right? So you're not going and looking for a mentorship, but what ends up happening is you meet people who leave you with that feeling of like, oh, I have learned something from you, and we've exchanged learnings. And so I love that, but it also creates volunteer diversity. And I think that a lot of times when I talk to our community out there and I'm hearing about opportunities, they're very like, oh, I know this place, but they don't know of other places, right? So all of the opportunities that are out there in community need to be exposed, and so that will help us build that community of volunteerism and opportunity to interact with different folks from different lines of work and kind of build that community collective dialogue that really is lacking from our community right now.
Thank you.
Okay. So I sort of listened to what everyone has said, and I made sort of notes. But I'm going to mention something a little bit different outside of the box. None of us are prepared to age. And I think that as I have gotten older, looking at my grandparents and I'm fortunate enough to have, within my own family, to have met my great-grandmother, who was born in 1881. And there's a big difference in aging between myself and my siblings. But I find that today, people are very selfish. Our children are very selfish. Everybody wants to be independent. And I think what needs to happen is that we as older adults need to start thinking of what legacy are we leaving behind. So, family units has changed, we talked a little bit about that. But I think as we age as well, we need to start sharing and understanding that there are various cultures that we have here in Canada. Canada is a very diverse country. But we're still very much, the word came up, silos, and that's what we've all become. We've everybody's in their little pockets all over the place. And I think it's important, maybe starting from the younger age, that we start explaining to our families and our children, and maybe even within the school system, the aging process. What's going to happen? We talk about it from a financial perspective. You hit your 40s, you better have a look at investments, or you're going to be thinking about retiring and all this kind of stuff. But we don't talk about the other stuff, the health stuff, the isolation. Your kids are away, you've got kids. I mean, there are four of us. There are four siblings. I live in Canada. Two of my siblings live in the UK. One lives in the States. I mean, you know, bless her parents passed away some time ago now. But for us to communicate, we have to use the computers, you know, we're on the phones. I'm fortunate that I can talk to my siblings every day, I do. Me, the oldest, I make sure I do that, I do that connection. But I think that a lot of people are afraid of aging because they don't know what it is until it happens. You wake up one day or, oh dear, where's the years gone? And I think that goes for the younger people, as people who are in their 30s and 40s, you're busy with life and that sort of thing. But you really have to look at those things. I think also that we have to start looking at what happens when you age. What is going to happen? And I think those discussions need to come up. Yes, you've got all the unions, you've got all the people who work. I mean, I'm still very busy because I have made it my life to be busy. But I know of individuals who were working 30, 40 years, and as soon as they've retired, they haven't been able to even enjoy their pensions because they have no friends, they didn't do that connect when they were working, and I think that's the sort of things that we have to start doing. It's very, very important. And one of the things that one organization I feel that does a lot more of that is the co-op housing sector. They really do look at their communities within a community, and I think we have to start doing that rather than being so isolated. And Tom, I keep looking at you, and I know you from somewhere, and I can't remember where it is. I've worked with you, I've done something, you know? Anyway, that's my input. So I think we have to start thinking outside the box. It's great we have all of these different things going on. We've got the rehab, we've got the accessibility, the accommodation. I spoke to a lady just the other day, and she said to me that in where she lives, she has certain issues. She's getting older, she can't get into her bathtub. And she's told the landlord they've done nothing about it. And it is actually within Hamilton Housing. There are no bars in the bathroom for her. She's afraid to get in there because if she gets in, she won't be able to get out. You know, those kinds of things. So we really have to look at the bigger picture. So, as I said, my mind kind of thinks about a lot of different things, but that's what I sort of gathered from here today. There's a lot of great information. Okay? But as I said, we're all afraid. We are. Okay.
All right, let's turn it over to a younger person in the room and here's your final thoughts.
Yeah. I think the conversations that we had today were very valuable and insightful. Especially as a younger person, I see my parents, you know, growing older, and it's, you know, it's very interesting to see, and I really love the discussion where we talked about volunteering aspects of connecting, you know, older adults with like younger generations. I mean, I look at my father and like every day he teaches me something new, like how to use a drill. I did not know how to use one, and he taught me how to use one. And being able to like learn about these valuable life lessons that oftentimes older adults do have, and I think that with, you know, the younger generation, we rely a lot on our computers and our technology to, you know, have a quick search and to be able to kind of cut corners and try to figure out, you know, our way around life. But I think it's very valuable to have like those discussions with, you know, older adults and, you know, building that solidarity across generations. I think that when we are looking at isolation, I think older adults are isolated, but also younger generations are also very isolated as well. When we look at social media and technology, you know, I myself, prior to this job, I also felt very isolated. I didn't have that much sense of community, and I think entering this job and being able to connect with more local unions and, you know, meeting people that I haven't seen in a while or meeting new people as well has built solidarity across, you know, doesn't matter how old I am or how old you are, we all have a shared common interest, and I think that's something that when we are having those conversations that we're looking for regardless of our age. So I really love the discussions of volunteering and being able to work together regardless of our age. I mean, My father will talk to me about politics and history, and then I'll show him how to use the TV remote. So, you know, working together and finding that shared interest in that solidarity, regardless of who you are and, you know, what age you are, can be beneficial to all sorts of groups and peoples. Thank you.
Perfect. Well then, you can't have a gathering of unionists without a call to action, right? So just in closing, before I turn this back over to Jillian, I want to highlight some thoughts that were shared through the committee. And the call to action really is about being intentional about connecting with older adults in your lives, and I think you summed it up quite perfectly. TV remote, you know, all that kind of politics stuff, good connection. Support community initiatives that promote dignity, affordability, and belonging. And I can't say enough about how we've appreciated Amy's input into building the 412 Barton. There are so many parts of it we wouldn't have thought about without her input, her and others who have that lived experience, that knowledge, and the capacity, quite frankly, to share so willingly. We need to advocate for investments in systems that strengthen care and connection. For our seniors programs, we focus on 3 pillar areas: food, housing, and income security. Things flow from that. Yes, we focus on other parts of people's lives, but those 3 things are the systems that really hold us all together. So making sure that everybody has food in their fridge, making sure that when you do age, you have a place to age, and making sure that you can access every single investment or benefit or connection that's available, not only to yourselves, but learning to share that up with others, right? And I think that those 3 parts, you know, when you walk away today, you're doing it, right? How do you talk to others about all of this stuff? And how do you follow through, right? And making sure that, you know, community paramedicine is something that people know about, right? Co-op housing is a feature. You talk to your neighbor about politics and you get up the next morning and they still want to talk to you, right? We don't hear about that all the time. And, you know, just the power of the internet is strong. But it's strong in that it brings us together, but it also divides us, right? And that's something I think that we need, if there's a legacy and a future for all of us, is to remind ourselves and to teach younger people about the power of connection to people. Thank you. Jillian.
Thank you, Renee. Wonderful job moderating. I have to give a gracious thank you to our panelists who brought such wonderful, valuable, thought-invoking information to us. Renee, for guiding this discussion like a pro, you've been fantastic. Thank you. Yes. I love to add to something that Lori said, which is everyday matters, right? We need to be intentional with our thoughts and our actions. We are not on this planet forever, right? So the more we're intentional, the more we have the supportive opportunities to connect with each other, and engaging with each other is where it's at. That's the secret sauce, right? So the more that we're intentional with our actions, the more so we're supportive with each other, we can create that magic special sauce which allows us to engage and grow and develop our community, as we are hoping that we can do and see in the future for all the generations to come. So thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your questions, and for your collaboration. We look forward to seeing how the International Day of Older Person is going to transition into another area of development for you in your future GMs and meetings that you will hold. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, so right now we have Aaron, who is the Executive Director of the Solidarity Place. He is going to own the recording until it is transitioned into my hands. Once it's in my hands, there will be a YouTube link that is created. I will share it with the panelists.